Hello ladies and gentlemen, One Gamer and his dog here. Today, I'm going to be going through a lot of the E3 videos that have been going around, doing some reactions to them, so it's going to be quite a big series that's going on. First off, what we're going to be doing is going to be watching the Final Fantasy VII trailer, because I recently wrote an article for The Express about why Final Fantasy VII shouldn't be released, and I got a lot of backlash of negative comments towards that article. So we're going to watch the trailer, and then I'm going to talk about that article and sort of the follow-up to that article and the reaction it got. So let's have a look at the trailer. That's too loud.
Long ago, we looked upon a foreboding sky. The memory of the star that threatened all burns eternal in our hearts.
Pretty awesome.
In its wake came an age of silence.
Sounds like Jules.
Yet with each fond remembrance, we knew those encountered were not forgotten. That someday we would see them again. Perhaps it was no more than wishful thinking.
It looks very impressive.
But after the long calm, there are now the beginnings of a stir. The reunion at hand may bring joy, it may bring fear, but let us embrace whatever it brings. For they are coming back. At last, the promise has been made.
I know. Okay.
PlayStation.
So that's what we got at E3, and everyone lost their shit. I didn't lose my shit. I'd been working on this article for a while now, the Final Fantasy VII, why Square Enix must not remake this masterpiece for PS4. I've been working on this article for probably about 2 months, and I started working on it after I'd done a review of Abe's Odyssey New and Tasty for PS4. It's a good game, but it was just kind of like, well, why have we got this remake? Why not just do a new Abe's Odyssey game? We can play the original. Why not just port it over to PS4? You don't need to sort of remake it. And it was a good remake, but I just kept thinking, well, why don't I just play the original game? So then I started sort of thinking about the concept of remakes in video games, and it's something that we haven't really had too much of. There have been some instances of it. A lot of last generation, we had a lot of sort of HD remakes coming out. Sorry. And I was a bit worried that, are we going to start getting remakes in video games? Because I don't think it's the right road to go down. I really don't. So, just to give sort of a bit of my backstory with Final Fantasy VII. I absolutely love Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII is in my top 5 games of all time. I've replayed it so many times. I spent once, I think, when it first came out, I got it for Christmas, and it was amazing because it was like 3 discs, and it was like, this is going to be so huge. And I played it. The first time I actually played it, and this is true, I didn't properly understand the materia junction system, so I never used it. Ever. Throughout the first playthrough, because I didn't get it. So I was pretty much using attack and then whatever magic they originally come with. So I kind of set myself a ridiculous difficulty without even fucking realising. It was only when I played it a second time. So I played it again later on that summer, where I spent like 6 weeks just playing it, and I'd sort of done the materia system and went, oh shit, like I was missing out on so fucking much of this game. So then played it again and absolutely loved it. I spent like a whole 6 weeks holiday just playing that game and doing the chocobo breeding and everything like that. It is absolutely amazing. It still astounds me to this day, and I replayed it on the PSP a few years ago, and then I just sort of replayed it on PC for Steam, where they've done sort of the HD port. Now that I was fine with. The idea like the HD port I was fine with, just sort of marginally improving the graphics, but a full-on remake I'm actually against. So I sort of, in this article, I talked about a couple of things. So I talked about, like, because the thing was, like I say, I started this article a while ago, a complete while ago, and it was going to be more about the concept of remaking games. And then what happened was they announced it. So I was like, fuck, I better actually finish off this article because it seems like the right time. So I started finishing it up. So what I did in the article is I talk a bit about like the history of Final Fantasy VII in terms of remakes. You know, there were rumours about it coming out for PS3 for quite some years. I've just realised there's a bit of glaring on the light. Sorry. There we go. Sorry, I had the lights on. The thing was going. Yeah, so they was talking about Final Fantasy VII remake on the PS3 when they sort of showed off a tech demo of it, but then they sort of went, no, this is a tech demo, we're not doing it. And then there was more rumours regarding at the end of the films about thanks to the Final Fantasy VII testing team, so everyone thought one was coming. Fortunately, it didn't. It's now been announced at E3. What I will say about Square Enix and E3, and I'm quoting Jim Sterling on this, Square Enix love to announce shit. They fucking live for it, particularly new Final Fantasies. And they've announced this one. And I don't think they've even mentioned anything more about it. I think the only thing they've come out and said is that, oh, we're working on it at the moment. We haven't got a release date for it. I think it's going to be a few years before this finally gets actually released. So I wouldn't hold your breath about a, Christmas 2015 release. I think you're looking at maybe November 2016. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like February or March 2017 based on Square Enix's development cycles. And I was quite surprised they announced it as well because I've done a video recently about the whole Konami bunny hop email saga and Konami going out and getting into mobile gaming. So it's become quite popular in Japan about the change in gambling laws out there. So I didn't think Square Enix were going to come to E3 with a lot. I thought they were going to be going down the same route. Apparently not. But I think they've announced this to say that, we are still committed to the games. So yeah, carrying on with the article. So I talked about, about the new and tasty thing and about how, why don't you just release the original game? And this idea that graphics alone cannot be a driving force for a game. The same way they're not for film. Now there was a big... reasonable controversy in the 90s when Ted Turner announced he was going to start colorizing all these old films because he owned the rights to all of them. So he was going to colorize like Citizen Kane and films like that. And there was a lot of backlash because it was like, well, no, these are an historic piece of art that shouldn't be touched or tampered with. And South Park done a really good episode on about Steven Spielberg and George Lucas remaking Raiders of the Lost Ark. And it's a brilliant thing, or doing like HD remastering of it as they've done with Star Wars. And I think that was my worry, was that I kind of feel like if they're remaking Final Fantasy VII, they are taking some of the soul away from the game. And that Final Fantasy VII is a great game because the story's great. It's a really good story. The art style was really good because it kind of broke away from the traditional medieval RPG, Japanese RPG, Western RPG that kind of Final Fantasy become associated with, and put it in a more contemporary setting and dealt with, the industrialization of the earth, environmental issues, which we were kind of talking about in the early 90s. Captain Planet had been going for a few years before then. And it was a really good story. It struck home. It was also kind of the start of the emo protagonists. We kind of had them before, but Cloud was the first of the great emo silent protagonists. And because he was the first, he was really fucking cool. The gameplay as well was really great. The summoning in the materia system, once I figured out how to use it, I really enjoyed it. It was quite simple, easy to use. The story, there's a lot to do in the world of Final Fantasy VII. There's a lot of side quests going on with like getting Vincent and getting Yuffie that you don't really have to do, but I do advise doing it. And then there's the whole chocobo breeding kind of thing. And there was a whole myth around the game regarding Ares dying and trying to resurrect her. And this is in the early days of the internet, so you're getting your knowledge from game magazines and like the odd game guide and maybe a forum post here and there, but nothing was ever concrete about it. And there was like this beautiful myth and mystery that came around it. And I don't think that we're going to be able to recapture that with this remake. I think it's going to be sort of a hollow shell of it. And this is my kind of thing, is that, the game industry as a whole, particularly from journalists, consumers, all moan about the fact that we aren't getting anything new, we aren't getting anything different, and we aren't getting any innovation at all. And it's starting to go down the line of the film industry. If we look at this year, there's been a couple of memes going around about it, about what films are being released this year, the big films. A Jurassic Park film, a Star Wars film, and a Terminator film. And it is that whole thing of, well, what year are we in? And why aren't we doing something new? I would rather have seen Square Enix kind of go, look, we're going to do a sequel or a prequel to Final Fantasy VII, as opposed to just remaking it. They have done some sequels and they have done a prequel before. I'd like to have seen, an expansion of that universe a little bit. Maybe, play as some like little, some minor characters that are going on while that whole event is going, while the whole sort of crisis is going on. Why have we got to remake it? Because I don't actually think that the emotional connection we will get to that game I don't think the increase in graphics will give us a greater emotional connection to that game. I just don't think it's going to happen. I base this as well on part, and again I'm quoting Jim Sterling about what he said about Square Enix, that they go too over the top nowadays with the design. And that sometimes when you go too over the top with design in its complexity, it makes it harder to relate to the characters, because you can't adequately not impose but project yourself onto them. And the stripped down graphics of Final Fantasy VII, I mean, at the time they were absolutely astounding. But when you play them now, you can really get into being, Cloud or Barrett or Tifa, any of them guys. And, Ares is death. All right, they do it with the, just to clarify, I am one of them twats who cried when it happened, because I was in fucking shock. Never seen anything like that. I don't think they'd be able to do the emotional capture with that new graphical styling, because I think it's going to be too in-depth. Now, when they've done the death, they've done it in two ways. They've done the FMV sort of sequence where you see Sephiroth come down with the sword, and then they done the sort of like little dialogue going on between Sephiroth, talking about killing her. Then you battle as like Sephiroth or Genova, and then you put Ares in the water, and that again goes to the FMV style. And yeah, it's a very jarring sort of graphical difference, but it really works and you really get connected. And I don't think they're going to be able to pull it off, because I think they're going to go too in depth to it and make it too complex. And I think that's going to allow, it's an RPG game, it's a role-playing game. I don't think it's going to allow us to identify with the characters too much. Now that could be, I am aware that nostalgia probably plays a dramatic part in this, and I am trying to divorce myself from nostalgia to go that, oh, this remake's going to be shit because it's not like the original, rah, 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 rah. But I think what it really is that I want them to do something different. And there's one thing I talk about in here, is I talk about an episode of The Simpsons, one of the first, I think it's the first Treehouse of Horror episode, where Bart and Lisa do Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. And after it, Bart goes, Lisa, that wasn't even scary, not even for a poem. Lisa goes, well, it was written in 1845. Maybe people were easy to scare back then. Oh, yeah, like when you look at Friday the 13th, Part 1, it's pretty tame by today's standards. And Hollywood has been remaking, horror films for years now. None of them are any good. And that's not even from necessarily my own personal opinion, but I think from an overall critic and consumer reception, none of them have been really good. Even when they've done sort of the shot-for-shot remake like Psycho, it was just like, well, why have we even fucking got this film? I think the only one difference in Psycho was you get to see Vince Vaughn masturbating. Well, you don't see his dick, but you see his eyes, he's jacking off. And then you've got things like Hollywood remakes of Japanese films like The Ring, and they don't capture the culture. They dilute on the culture, and I think that's a worry. Again, that's another one of my point with this Final Fantasy VII remake, is that they're going to dilute out the importance of that game, because I do kind of think that it was very of its time and it was very of the moment, and it should be treated as a piece of art. And I don't think that games can be respected as a piece of art if they keep getting remade. just leave them how they are and move on and don't touch anything. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do remakes at all, because I kind of talk about how, you know, well, you could say that Mario Kart and Mario Brothers Wii U, these are all remakes of existing games. These are all remakes of old games. What's the difference between that and Final Fantasy VII? Because Final Fantasy VII has got a fucking story, and it's got a really, really good story. It's not a game that's just based around gameplay and mechanics. It's a game that's based around a story. And by remaking that story, you're not going to... why remake the story? The story's already there. It's a great fucking story. Play the game. Why is this implication that better graphics mean it's good? The better graphics are, the better a game is. And this was sort of a view that I think we definitely took in the Nintendo to Super Nintendo to PlayStation days, that better graphics meant better games. But now people are going back and sort of going, well, no, sometimes the simpler graphics can be a better game sometimes. And that gameplay alone can be the driving force behind the game. And you don't need to keep remaking them. I am sort of waffling and rambling a bit. I am aware of this. So yeah, I don't think they're going to do. I really don't think they're going to do a good job of this. I think they've announced this because they need the cash and they want to get some money in and they need a big sales kind of game. I talk about as well. Final Fantasy VII was released before DLC, before pre-order and all that shit. Can you imagine what DLC and pre-order bullshit there is going to be around this fucking game? They are, and I'll sort of, flippantly kind of go, an Ares DLC to keep you playing as they're probably gonna do pre-order bonuses for Chocobos. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some sort of pre-order bonus to roll around Chocobos. I'm calling that one now. I really hope that they do make a good job of it. I do want it to be good, and I want to enjoy it. And I'm not going to fucking lie. Yeah, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to play it because it's Final Fantasy VII. But no, actually, no. Technically, I should, boycott it. Boycott Final Fantasy VII. I should be, saying them arguments that, yeah, we probably shouldn't be giving our cash to support these kind of games. I am fucking intrigued, though. I'm not going to lie. I'm a card-carrying hypocrite. What can I say? I won't even front about it. But I just, why can't you do something else, Square Enix? Go invest that money somewhere else. Try a new IP. Do a decent Final Fantasy VII game, please. Try and make a whole new one that's really good. Even if you was to take Final Fantasy VII and go, right, what did we get right here? And let's try taking that and improving on it and making it better and making a better version of the game. So that was kind of rambling. So this was some of the backlash I got to it because it got posted onto N4G. And I got a lot of backlash about this. I think it was 49 comments in total, and a lot of them are just, yeah. First one was, glad no one listens to this dumbass. Dumbass with $signs for the S's. Next one, yet there are so many people that have not experienced this game that absolutely need to experience it. I can't wait to go through it again. Remade after all of this time. Everyone that even remote likes RPGs needs to get this on their list. I agree with this guy. I do agree with him on it. That if you are a fan of RPGs, you should play Final Fantasy VII. Play the original. Someone's asking for a remake of Final Fantasy 1 to 9. I'm not interested in 15 and beyond that. I'd rather spend the next 15 years just remaking. I'd rather spend the next 15 years just remaking the old Final Fantasies. Yeah, but I mean they have remade sort of 1 to... They've remade 1 to 6 a fucking few times on... Because they originally released it on PlayStation, there was a Nintendo DS, and now it's on iPhones and things like that. What's my sort of view on that stuff? I mean, that's porting it to a new piece of hardware, completely different from the existing hardware at the time. Just port the original games, Try to let, games should be taken... we got to start... I want games to be treated as a piece of art, because I think they are artworks in their own respective rights. And that if we do keep remaking them and changing them and upgrading them, updating them, they're not the same. And I gave a flippant argument in the article I wrote about, what if they kept remaking the Mona Lisa? And I think South Park may have done a thing about, well, what if they kept re-releasing the White Album by the Beatles? And, it wouldn't be the same. The original, I'm not always saying that, the original isn't always better. The original is like 95% of the time always better than any sort of remake. Because it is of the time and it's of the moment and it should be that way. Anyway, back to the comments. I never had a chance. I'm one of them. I never had a chance to play this. I remember staring at the postcard that Sony sent me for AGS. Seriously, my mind filled with blanks on it so much. The same with Croc. I held off playing Final Fantasy VII all this time because it didn't age well visually. I am glad I did. I really hope they do the original game justice. I don't want to miss out on what many consider the best Final Fantasy game. And this is what I don't get is that if it hasn't aged well visually, who gives a flying fuck? I really don't get this argument about, oh, it looks shit. I can't play it because it's shit. Well, why? Why can't you play it because it's shit? It annoys me because it's viewpoints like that. That's why George Lucas keep remaking and fucking doing HD, not remaking, but keeps doing remasterings of the fucking Star Wars films. Because it's like, oh, well, I've got to make it better. No, just release it as it fucking is. Get us the time. Joab777, how does it ruin the soul? Can't you still play the original? How does it ruin the soul? Like I said, I think it kind of takes away from the heart and the soul of the game. And I think it'd be a dilute. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong in saying it doesn't ruin the soul, but I think it will dilute the soul of the game. Can't you still play the original? You can, and I advise everyone, play the fucking original. Don't play the remake. And can you name me which remakes or remasters this gen that have ruined the originals? Not this gen, because I don't think. Well, I think New and Tasty didn't ruin the original, but it was just a diluted version of the original. Silent Hill HD collection, that was bad. It didn't ruin the original, and I think I may have got wrong in this article by saying that it's going to ruin or tarnish the original. But I'm worried that that's people's. I'm worried that with the remake, it's going to be that this is people's perception of what Final Fantasy VII is, as opposed to going back and looking at its original form. But yeah, I mean, they fucked up, like, the Silent Hills HD collection, that fucked up them two games, big time. You know that you're going to get all sorts of you're going to get sorts of opinions about Final Fantasy remakes, so obviously you're bound to get some real dumb ones. Was it a dumb thing? No, I don't think it was. I think I kind of put through my argument well, or at least I tried to. But, yeah. It may bring joy, it may bring fear, but let us embrace whatever it may bring. That's quite a fair point. I like what that guy kind of says there. But let us embrace whatever it may bring. Your imagining needs work low at the 10 agrees. Right. Even if Square Remix remade this game, it's an awful remake. The original game still forever exists. And really, if Dirge of Cerberus couldn't hurt Final Fantasy VII's name, nothing really could at this point. That's actually probably a really good point there. Fuck. Yeah, that's quite a good point because Dirge of Cerberus was quite terrible. It's a huge game. Expectations are high. Lots of concerns this game of this magnitude, but glad to see it will finally happen. I'm not. Biggest pro in my opinion with the budget and time that needs to remake such a game into the next gen experience. This remake will be the biggest project Square since the original game, which at the time was easy one, if not one of the most impressive PS1 titles ever created. Yeah, I'm making right with that, and it is going to take them a lot of time and a lot of money, and I don't think we're going to be seeing it for another year or two. So the industry doesn't need Final Fantasy Remake, or nor will it be any good. I don't think it's going to be good. First of all, the industry stood up and clapped. This is at E3. People stood up and clapped. Let's be honest here. You got a room, and I'm one of them. You got a room full of fucking fanboys in that room. Even more so this year because it's supposed to be only about journalists going, and they let in some of the consumers. We are going to get fucking fanboyed up with this game, but we need to kind of stop and go, is this actually a fucking good thing? Everyone clapping at E3 doesn't mean it's a good idea for the industry and doesn't mean it's actually what people want. It's like when people say shit on Twitter straight after something happens. I don't pay attention to Twitter because Twitter's very reactionary. And I think it was a very reactionary response to this game. My reaction to when it first came out was two things. It was, fuck my hardcore, I've got to finish that off. Secondly as well, please don't fuck it up. But I'm not excited for it. I don't think I am. I don't think I care. I want something a bit different. And this man here knows the future. I have called it a few times with some of my prediction posts, so I'm doing alright. I called some things on Nintendo and the NX stuff, so yeah, I'm alright. I hope you do realise that Final Fantasy VII won't be coming until 2017. Yeah, meaning it will be developed right. It if you don't want it, then don't write a stupid article, but there are a lot of gamers who want it. Well, no, if I don't want it, I can write an article saying why I don't want it. I want to get my viewpoint, because everyone else was... When this fucking game got announced, everyone was butt-fucking the shit out of Final Fantasy VII when this fucking remake got done. Everyone was like, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. It's only now that there's a few people actually turning around going, maybe this isn't a good idea. I just happened to get my article out on the day, but that's because I've been working on it for so long. I think what Mr. Relay UK 2003 means is why Square Enix must remake this masterpiece for the PC first before PS4. I might have a point there. Let's see this one. A far more valid criticism that the author completely missed is that there are so many scenes throughout the game that will not work with modern graphics or modern political correctness. He's very right. Just think about everything goes down at the wall market, Honeybee, Carino, and of course Big Bro. Yeah, there is some weird cross-dressing, paedophilia implied, gangbang scenes going on in that game. There is some dodgy stuff. I doubt we'll be having a squatting contest with gay bodybuilders who wear wigs in the remake. I doubt that as well. The trailer looks as if they're going to take the game in a dark direction, much like we saw with Final Fantasy in Advent Children. Yeah, I think he's right. Here's a great article from entitled 5 Things We Won't See in Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's pretty cool. I'll have to check that out. Be back in 2 seconds. I've got something in the oven. It's already implied that we will be seeing Cloud in the dress, is it? All the storyline issues that this article puts forth can be addressed in an updated remake. There is no problem with any of the Don Corneo plot points unless you are a homophobic child. He has got a point about that, is that there isn't actually anything wrong with it, except for the fact that Don Corleone is a pimp who's trying to rape young girls, pretty much. They're meant to be funny, and that is exactly how they come across. Some of it may change, but most of it should remain exactly as it was. If anything, I would think the opposite would be true. We just witnessed the former Olympic athlete announce that the new identities of females of the world. Most backlash seems to be from the people who felt dubbing her a hero, etc., was misplaced, not because of the sexual orientation. I would hope the portrayal of a gay bodybuilding one of the game's most numerous humorous scenes won't be removed, considering how much has changed since the original game released. Yeah, he's probably got a point, actually. We are in a sort of a lot more modern time, and, you know, transgendering isn't a big fucking deal. No one is what it is, and have at it, be happy. But if we're going to accept it, don't know. I think there's going to be some. I think that I don't think they're going to put it. Are they going to put it in or not? I think they'll tone it down. I think they'll tone down that scene if they do it. Who is this person they are making? Who is this person they are making it learn to accept reality? I have accepted reality, but I can still have a moan about reality. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII on PS1 is still there regardless of any future games. Yes, it is, and it's better, and it will be better. Final Fantasy VII Remake is not what the video industry needs, nor will it probably be any good. Yeah, neither is this article. Fair play. I don't know who this person is, and I'm already not liking this guy. Hi. They see me trolling. I'm not actually trolling with this article. I'm really not. I genuinely don't want this, and I think someone goes later on about clickbaiting. But no, I'm not trolling. I'm genuinely serious. I don't want this remake. I don't think they should do any more fucking remakes of games. Do something new. Do something fucking different. Do you know what I mean? Give some indie developers who have done some really good fucking shit. Give that Square Enix. Take them inside. Give them a stack of money and go, right, we're going to publish whatever you've done because it looks really fucking cool. Thanks for the laugh. Oh wait, he's serious. I'm very much serious. It would turn out to be horrible. POS. You still won't lose anything. You won't lose anything, but it's just there's better things they could be doing with the money and the time. A remake won't delete the game from the past or something like that. I think it will. I honestly think the remake will delete it. I am basing that slightly on George Lucas's attitudes towards the original Star Wars films, but I don't think that they're going to be... Right, put it this way. If they don't port Final Fantasy VII, the PS1 version, onto PS4 and Xbox One, actually, with that whole Sony, that fucking game streaming shit, we'll probably will be able to play it on PS4. And it is on PC at the moment, so it is still out there. But I do think that they're probably going to go out and go, oh yeah, let's be honest here, they're going to come out before it and go, this is a better version of the game. Because they don't want anyone buying the original version of the game. Because the original version of the game you pick up for like a tenner or 20 quid on fucking Steam, or if they do port it over. I want to get the £40-50 fucking money out of you lot. So, yeah, they are going to say it's a better game. They are going to try to remove all references to the original because they want to make cash. It would be a shame if your first experience goes a subpar remake, though. Yes, it will be. It could be make playing your game original afterwards not as special. Yeah, it will be. It's a turn-based RPG, though, so gameplay and story will be so similar to the original, there is no reason the game won't be good as even better. I think that someone even mentions about, are they going to change the gameplay of the game? If you haven't played the original by now, then that's your own fault. Look at Pac-Man games. They redid them in 3D and most of them suck. Does that make the original suck? No. I'm trying to figure out if in the art... I don't think I actually said in the article that it's going to make the original suck. I think... Yeah, I think I might not have been clear on this point. Maybe I've been clear in my rambling, but... I think it's just going to make the overall concept of the game terrible, and I'm worried that Final Fantasy VII will be remade for the remake and not the original, and that it will tarnish the original soul of the game, as it were. It's going to be, or this is going to be like the whole new Coke shit that happened in the 80s. They don't saw the game like do an action. Blah, blah, blah. Hoffman article nobody asked for. Some people are just wow. Sounds like somebody is salty. Anything to downplay this game, huh? It's not necessarily downplay this game. It's more to downplay remakes as a concept. LOL. Movies and games are made differently. Are they? Are they made that differently? It's still a conjunction of a group of people coming together with each different specialised tasks, producing something. Albeit, a movie is more of a linear experience because you're sort of going on a point of A to B, and games are more... what's the term? Non-linear, in that you can all have different experiences playing the game. You can't all have the same experience playing a movie. You have less of the same experience playing a game. But I think it's more about movies and games are made differently. I don't think so. They're still backed by money at the end of the day. The Lucas comparisons are unfounded. This is a remake, not a remaster or enhanced edition, director's cut or anniversary edition. You don't think Lucas was looking at remaking them Star Wars films? You don't think he was looking at that shit? I bet he fucking was. It's only because Disney got hold of it. Did the remake ruin Resident Evil? No. Made it a better game that could be enjoyed by modern gamers and fans alike. Shocking stuff. Did the remake ruin Resident Evil? No. It didn't ruin Resident Evil, but it's not fucking Resident Evil on the PS1. It's a different kind of game. It made it a better game that can be enjoyed by modern gamers and fans alike. It didn't make it a better game. It made a different game. If people can't enjoy a game unless it's got fucking HD graphics, 60 frames per second, no fucking loading times whatsoever, and must be the most HD visually impressive shit possible, then the video game industry is fucked. Because that's what they're going to keep pumping out, is these high-end fucking AAA games that are all fucking flashy lights and no actually experience. I forget who wrote the essay, but there's a film essay called Cinema of Interactions. It talks about how early films were like going to a fun fair. It was to take you on, it was to show you like spectacle of flashing lights and music, and it would be like, oh god, this is amazing, blah blah. There's a thing like with the one of the Path brothers' first films they made was a train coming at the audience, and people would run out of the sort of like wherever it was being screened, because they thought the train was going to come out on the screen and things like that. If you think that games must rely on graphics alone for gameplay, clearly you have not seen Minecraft, because Minecraft is not the most graphically appealing game, but it's great fucking gameplay, and that's what stands it. Get the fuck out. So in this writer's words, we shouldn't have a new Wolfenstein. Have they ever been good? No new Star Wars. No, that's a sequel. No Dark Souls 2, Scholar, etc. Again, sequel and spiritual successor. No Metro Redux. I'm pretty sure that's the sequel. The original is still available for people. Blah, 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 blah. The original experience is still available for people. This just expands and it appeals and allows people who otherwise would never experience the film game franchise to experience it. They can experience it, you're just not. You're not experiencing it because you're not happy unless it's in fucking HD and looks animated up. It harms no one and allows newcomers to go back and explore the original in some cases. Yeah, it probably will help people explore the original game in some places. I'm just really worried that people are going to explore the original game and go, oh, this is shit compared to the remake. It's like, fuck off. What's up with all these Why Final Fantasy remakes is a bad idea articles? Can't people not just be happy for once? No. I'm not going to be happy. Not going to be happy because the Final Fantasy VII remake is nothing more than a new version of COD. It's the exact same fucking game we're getting, and alright, albeit we're getting it a fair few years later, so it isn't so tiresome, but just do something different. Too friggin' bad, it's happening. Man, what an idiot. Yeah. Clickbait. Not clickbait. I was generally working this article for a while. And you know what? I'm trying to write professionally now. Of course, I'm going to do certain things that are going to be clickbaity. Is the article a clickbait headline? Final Fantasy VII. Why Square Enix must not remake this masterpiece of PS4? Do I explain that in the article? Yes, I do. So I wouldn't describe it as clickbaity. No, I would say it's clickbaity headline, but the headline is referencing of the article. It's not like I've done like, you won't believe this shocking diet pill, or this woman's lost £1 million and doctors are pissed off. They're clickbaiting things where they're leading you to something that is a complete lie of what you were originally clicking on. I gave you my reasons. They may have not been expressed the right way, but fans were cheering and screaming and the internet exploded. Yes, because we all know that when the internet explodes about something, it means it's right. Just because, I can't remember who said this now, but just because something's popular doesn't mean it's good. It really doesn't. But clearly this guy knows what everyone wants. I don't know what everyone wants. I'm talking about what I want and what I feel is going to be better for the industry. He must be a 1%er. 0.00001 percentage more like. Hey, OP, get a new hobby. Too late, it's already happening. Why Square Enix should not remake Final Fantasy VII before remaking Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy VI is the best fantasy ever. People who lost their Final Fantasy to 7 have no idea how good Final Fantasy 6 is. 6 is really fucking good. 6 is really fucking good. I personally prefer 7 a lot more. But I still don't think they should remake 6. I agree, however, Sephiroth was freaking awesome. Not giving the URL a click. If you don't like it, just don't buy it. Play the original version or something else. I'm hopefully going to intend doing that. Clickbait. Author makes an essentialist article for clicks to make the income to buy the remake when it comes out. I'm actually not getting paid for my articles at the moment, so no, I'm not making any money off of that. I would actually take some liberties with the game. If it's just a graphic update, well, I mean, that's well and good, but that won't excite me all too much. Actually, I do hope they do. Yeah, I would agree with him that if they're going to do it, take some fucking liberties and try some new and different shit. But is it going to ruin the story, though? That's the question. Yeah. If they put a modern spin on the material system, maybe playing around with the story to give me something fresh, I'll be much more excited. I don't want them to fuck around with the story. I can see where he's coming from, though. As much as I love it, nostalgia, and it seems the current generation really love nostalgia, we fucking do. I'm well aware I'll never be able to replicate the feeling I got when playing Final Fantasy VII for the first time back in September of 1997. It's true, you're not. Everyone's been asking for a remake for years. Why would they not remake it? This article, like many other articles, should have been thrown into the failed category immediately. They're remaking it because they want the money for it. They're not remaking it. I really doubt that Square Enix are remaking this game because they actually think, hey, we can do something good with this game. We can make improvements to Final Fantasy VII. There may have been some problems with the story that we can work on. We can reduce load times. We can improve the gameplay. We could maybe visually update it to make it a better experience. That's not why they're doing it. They're doing this for fucking cash, money alone. No other reason. And hey, that is business. That's why people make games, right? But please don't be making out that like Square Enix are doing this for the fans. They're not doing it for the fans. They're doing it for your fucking wallets. That's why they're doing it. If they were doing it for the fans, they would have done it last generation when everyone was really fucking crying out for it, and they done the tech though and everything like that, okay? They're doing this now because they ain't making the fucking cash, alright? And I talk about this in the article about Tomb Raider, Hitman and Sleeping Dogs all didn't do the sale numbers that Square Enix wanted. They wanted big sale numbers, and it didn't do the fucking numbers for them at all in the slightest bit that they needed. I think it eventually did become profitable, but it didn't give them the cash that they wanted. So they've had to go back and remake some old shit, because we as fucking consumers, journalists, fucking gamers, we want the same shit sold to us and repackaged every fucking year, as opposed to trying something different and new. And this is just the beginning of the RPG remakes, and they're going to remake everything fucking going there. It's the same as reality. You know what? A remake, and this is a bit of an idea I've just come up with, so this might be a random thought. A remake is the same as a reality TV. You know why reality TV, there's so fucking much of it? Because you don't have to employ writers, and you don't have to employ people to come up with a genuine fucking story. You just need to let people be dickheads and arseholes and film it. With the Final Fantasy 7 remake, they don't have to get someone to write a fucking good story, sit down, plot it out, come up with character design, everything like that. All they've got to do is just remake what's already fucking there. And it's just going to be nothing fucking new or different. There might be some new or different shit, but it's going to be very fucking marginal, as opposed to doing something new and unique. And that is what I'd rather want. I want the industry, I want Square Enix to make a decent fucking Final Fantasy game. I think that's enough randoms for now. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching for 42 minutes. Jesus. If you stayed for it, thank you very much. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.